This presentation will explore Caravaggio and his impact on artists and the art world. Caravaggio is the most influential artist, some might say the most influential, but let's not get into that right now. Today we will be only discussing two of his most famous artworks and some history as to why he's famous as he is. Alright, first of all, let's delve into what he's known for. Caravaggio has a very distinct art style. Every single one of his paintings includes some sort of tenebrism, which is the use of dramatic lighting that contrasts from light to dark in order to show this like sort of spotlight kind of thing onto a part of the piece. Additionally, a majority of his paintings include chiaroscuro, which is the contrasting light and dark to create dramatic lighting. Caravaggio painted with such realism by using real-life models and actors, and he portrayed them in such gritty detail. He often had these actors have dirty feet, weathered skin, and so much more in order to bring realism to life within his painting. He oftentimes used unconventional viewpoints or compositions in order to capture the most intensity within the scene. He wanted his paintings to add a bit of psychological depth to it in some way or another, usually by using graphic scenes or stories that inspired the piece. This groundbreaking style changed paths from the beauty of the Renaissance, bringing in religious themes that shifted into the Baroque movement. Alright, so first of all, let's start with the Caravaggio's David with the Head of Goliath. Throughout his lifetime, Caravaggio painted three separate David and Goliath paintings, all focused on different themes. However, today we will be exploring this painting in the middle here. The full title of this piece is David with the Head of Goliath. This specific piece was either created in 1607 or 1610. To this day, historians aren't 100% sure which day is the correct one, so let's just go with 1607 for now. The medium he used for this was oil paint onto a canvas. Caravaggio painted David with the head of a Goliath during the final years of his life, while he was in exile after committing murder in Rome. The work reflects the emotional and spiritual struggles of the artist, where David was not shown as a triumphant hero, but as sorrowful and reflective. Goliath's severed head is to be believed a portrait of Caravaggio, where he's feeling some sort of remorse, repentance, and maybe even a plea of mercy. This fits the Counter-Reformation goals of art meant to inspire emotional engagement, moral reflection, and religious devotion. Through dramatic lighting and psychological intensity, the painting also embodies the Baroque style, which offers deeply personal narrative of like some sort of justice and redemption, etc. At the time, he was seeking a pardon, and this painting might have been a gift to one of the cardinals who had been able to pardon him at the time. This is more than just a biblical scene. The painting has been interpreted as a plea for mercy and an expression of Caravaggio's deep remorse and anguish. David is portrayed not as a victorious hero, but as a compassionate person, while he is gazing solemnly at the severed head of Goliath, which many to believe a self-portrait of Caravaggio himself. The sword David holds, bearing the inscription AAS OS is thought to stand for a Latin phrase which is roughly translated to English as humility kills pride, which reinforces the theme of spiritual reckoning. The sword and David's demeanor together suggest a symbolic restoration of order over chaos, making the world both a powerful religious image and a deep personal confession. Alrighty, now let's dive into another one of Caravaggio's paintings, Judith beheading Holofernes. The official title is just as I said, Judith the Beheading, Holofernes. The date for this painting is in between 1598 and 1599. Again, this medium used was oil on canvas. Caravaggio's Judith Beheading Holofernes is widely regarded as one of his most shocking and most powerful works. It captures the brutal moment with raw intensity and realism. It's also showcasing the story of a biblical story. This was painted during his early years and also reflects the goals of the Counter-Reformation. This scene shows Judith, who is a Jewish heroine, in the act of beheading the general Holofernes in order to save her people. Caravaggio chose to depict the exact moment of violence, with blood spurting him mid-scream and Judith focused on focused but disturbed, and it just offers some sort of psychological portrayal of righteousness. Her maid also calmly assists in the background, adding it to another layer of realism. The dramatic use of tenebrism heightens the sense of drama and moral clarity. Rather than idealizing figures, Caravaggio presents human vulnerability and courage, making this painting not just a story of divine justice, but also a vivid reflection of power and action. It remains as a hallmark of Baroque art, blending realism with depth. Today it is housed in the National Gallery of Ancient Art in Barberini Palace, Italy. Caravaggio may have been driven by a desire to create something more authentic and truthful within this painting, moving beyond traditional religious art. Some scholars believe his intense realism was inspired by a real life violence he witnessed, which was a public execution. Um, as you can see in the image here, this was a woman by the name of Beatrice Cenci. She was a young Roman noblewoman who was executed in 1599 for murdering her abusive father. The shocking details of her child death were widely renowned in Rome at the time, and Caravaggio may have drawn upon this public fascination with justice for her and just guilt for the whole situation. By channeling the raw emotion and moral ambiguity of such real events, Caravaggio crafted a scene that feels just in your face and just full of psychological depth. This blends historical trauma with biblical trauma to heighten the painting's impact. Fun fact, for many years, another painting of Jews beheading Holofernes that was found in a private collection in Toulouse, France, was believed by scholars to be a lost work of Caravaggio. This piece displayed tenebrism, dynamic composition, and brutal realism, which are all distinguishing features of Caravaggio's style. However, later on, art historians discovered that it was not Caravaggio's work, but rather Louis Finson. He is a follower of Caravaggio. He created copies and original works also inspired by Caravaggio. This confusion just reflects how closely Vincent imitated Caravaggio's style, and it showcases the deep impact Caravaggio had on the world and his followers. Now let's move on to the main part, Caravaggism. Caravaggio's groundbreaking style gave rise to a powerful artistic movement known as Caravaggism, where his followers were called the Caravaggisti. They adopted and spread his distinct approach throughout all of Europe. These artists embraced Caravaggio's signature techniques, mainly tenebrism and chiaroscuro, and psychological intensity and realism. Although many of his followers never met Caravaggio personally, they were deeply influenced by his works. They helped popularize Baroque art far beyond Italy. Through their paintings, his influence extended to countries like France, the Netherlands, Spain, etc. Some of the most noble followers include Artemisia Genesteli, known for her powerful depictions of biblical heroines, Louis Vincent, as you just heard, who helped spread Caravaggio's style in Northern Europe, and Johannes van Bronckhorst, a Dutch painter influenced by Caravaggio's dramatic style and realism. Together, they played a key role in shaping the Baroque movement and ensuring Caravaggio's legacy lived on throughout the 17th century and beyond. Caravaggio's revolutionary style had a profound impact on European art, influencing a wide like, range of major artists who were not directly a part of the movement, but still somewhat tied into it. His bold use of chiaroscuro realism and intensely deeply inspired paintings like Rembrandt, who adopted similar lighting techniques to create dramatic portraits. Um, in Flanders, Peter Paul Rubens absorbed Caravaggio's compositions and realism, blending them into his own style. In Spain, artists such as Francisco de Zurbarán, Diego Velázquez, and José de Ribera were all influenced by Caravaggio, which emphasized on his gritty realism and expressive figures. Even in sculpture, Caravaggio's influenced figures like Gian Lorenzo Bernini, whose emotionally charged and theatrical sculptures echo the dramatic power found in Caravaggio's paintings. Although these artists developed their own unique approaches, Caravaggio's innovation fundamentally shaped the Baroque movement across Europe and left an enduring legacy in the Western art history. And here are my resources I found. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a good day.